Mike Burrows was brilliant. The offense was competent, and the Pirates evened the series with the Astros with a mirror image of last night's game. Let's talk young pitching next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary Morgan. Let's talk about last night's game a little bit. A 3-0 shutout of the visiting Houston Astros. A bit about Oneil Cruz improving as a player. And then let's go around the diamond and talk very specifically about which positions need outside answers. Keep saying we want them to spend money and we want them to make all these trades. We want them to move this here and move that there. Let's really go around this diamond and talk about where we want that to happen. I just think that sounds like a fascinating thing to talk about. Let's start with last night's game. First, everything that happened in the first one with Paul Skeens, the opposite happened in this one. I mean, the pitching, obviously, they get the shutout, so the pitching overall dominated this game, and the Astros couldn't put a dent in anything Mike Burrows, Braxton Ashcraft, David Bednar, or Chase Shugart threw at them. So, dominant shutout. I should say here too, and maybe you saw this already on the reel that I posted after the game last night, but the Pirates have been shut out 10 times in 62 games. That's nothing to brag about. They've also shut out 7 opponents in that time when they think they're third in the league. So listen, the pitching gives and it takes. It really does. It's great when you win a low-scoring game with pitching. It's unrealistic to expect it all the time. But the Pirates do get it a lot. They get it a lot more than people that have a lot more, like, better records than the Pirates, which really speaks to the major deficiency on this team, which is the offense, as we always talk about and always know. But in this game, I don't know, man. I thought great defense. I'm starting to wonder a little bit about what Mike Kelly is doing with Tommy Pham. I'm just a little confused. It seems to be now, at the very least, more of an every other day thing with Canario and Tommy Pham. I don't know what the purpose is there. I mean, maybe they do think there's some kind of trade value. I do know that StatCast and analytics really enjoy Tommy Pham playing for left field. They think he's doing great. The defensive run save numbers are up there. Hey, the eye test tells you that he's doing pretty well out there. He does catch balls that I would see drop here and there. I think he's gotten to. I think he's pretty aggressive on coming in on balls that some people would let drop. I think we've seen that happen before. But I don't know if it's so measurably better than Canario that I need to see a lot of that. To me, again, this just doesn't go towards answering a question. I don't think there's any kind of upside to playing Tommy Pham an awful lot. Are you going to up the trade value to, some scrub in single A plus $100 towards international pool money? I mean, I don't know what your upside is for proving out that Tommy Pham is worth a damn. I don't think it makes your trade great. In fact, I think inevitably you probably know that you get out of Tommy Pham by waiving him and then having somebody pick him up off waivers. That you work out some kind of a silly deal there where it's even for cash, something like that. That's probably how you ultimately get rid of Tommy Pham. Maybe the defense is enough for somebody to want to sit him on their bench. Who knows? We certainly think it might be for Brian Hayes, right? But Tommy Pham's not a piece here. And I just don't think that I want to waste any more time with it, Now, is Adam Frazier the same as that? I mean, Adam Frazier has been hitting, right? And I guess, man, you really want them to try. You want Don Kelly to try to win as best he can with the pieces he has, right? I'm not sure that we should be forcing down his throat that he needs to care about next year because he's coaching for his future. I mean, if he does well with this team, it feels like every indication is telling me he's got an opportunity to keep his job here, even if the GM's gone. So why would he not play the guys he thinks is best? And I know for a fact that Charrington has given Donnie a lot of what he's asked for from the minors, and I know that he's backed off of some of the things that he was kind of asking Derek Shelton to do indirectly through their previous setup. So maybe we should probably stop asking that question. Donnie must have some kind of a purpose for it, right? He thinks it's helping them win by playing Tommy Pham out there. I mean, as a fan, I don't want to see it an awful lot. I want to see a lot more of the youngsters playing, especially when they're up here. I don't see a lot of upside in continuing to play this game with him. Adam Frazier, on the other hand, I mean, I can see them using him still. I wouldn't make it a straight platoon, though, because you ultimately want Nick Gonzalez to be an everyday player. So you don't want to sit him until you face a lefty. That's why platoons stink, because when you decide that a guy, can't hit a lefty and you keep a guy just to face left-handed pitching, it always just creates this weird situation. And you really never like it when it's a young kid, because if Nick Gonzalez doesn't get opportunity, then, he's never going to evolve. And I think it's pretty important to this team that they start to see a little bit of that supposed thunder that's in that bat. Again, we talked yesterday's show about how much we need power. Well, Nick Gonzalez is a guy that's supposed to have some. I mean, he just can't stay healthy for 10 minutes. So let's see, now that he's healed up, what he could do. Let's give him a stretch of games. But I can understand it from Donnie's perspective. You want to play Adam Frazier. He's been delivering for you for a couple weeks here. They're going to have to feel their way through situations like that. It's an interesting thing when your team starts out this way, because I do think and after making the coaching change, man, it really changed the dynamic of everything, because there's all kinds of ulterior interests going into this. Does Ben Cherington have an opportunity to save his job if this goes a certain way? I don't know. Does he have an opportunity to save his job, but only if he stays a little more hands-off with the coaching and lets it play out, kind of delivers what is asked for from the minors by the coaching staff and consulting the scouts below him instead of making his own decisions? I don't know the setup. I just know that he's backed off a little bit out of the dugout, at least as far as just the requirements for some allotments of playing time and things such as that. The inning stuff is all coming from training and the coaching staff as well. So, I mean, I know he's backed off on that. And I know that we've gotten some players called up here recently that, Donnie's been looking to get. I don't understand their usage of Braxton Ashcraft. I mean, I like what Mike Burrows did today, and I'm glad. But here was my concern with having a guy like Ashcraft around. I think I talked a little bit about it the other day. If Burrows is good, which he was today, well, then Ashcraft isn't going to pitch much. And if the game doesn't kind of separate or it stays tight, they're going to yank him after just a couple innings. Well, what happened? Yeah, Chase Sugar put out the mythical fire that Mike Burrows started. It was only just one guy on. And then after that, Ashcraft goes 2 innings, and then they pull him for David Bednar. Fine. That's a formula to win. You want to treat it like a win. It's 3 runs. That's what you bring in your closer if you have a closer. But Braxton Ashcraft was rolling. he got asked, Donnie Kelly got asked about this after the game. Like, what are you going to do? Because he really could be super effective in the bullpen. And I think Don Kelly kind of danced around it a little bit and talked about his pitch counts and his outings. Like, it's something to keep your eye on. I'll tell you what Mike Burrows did tonight, though, or yesterday. He absolutely changed the conversation because it was 100% leaning towards people wanting to see Braxton Ashcraft either thrown into the rotation and Burrows into the bullpen, or call up Bubba and send Burrows down. And I think Burrows has kind of bought himself another start. And if you watched this game, it was actually almost more impressive than the numbers. It was really dominant. This was not a fluke start where he really fought through and somehow kept runs off the board. He pitched a heck of a ball game, and he's real good at getting those double play balls when he really needs to. I'm real geeked about this kid because I've been following him for a really long time, so I'm super excited. When we come back, let's talk about another kid I've been following for a really, really long time, and so have you, Oneil Cruz. The Stanley Cup final is in full swing, and every game delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a defining moment for playoff McJesus, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game. Before face-off and live, with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. In fact, last I checked, the Oilers were plus 100 to beat the Panthers in the final. So if you're new to FanDuel, it's a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get 200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and give me a like. And the conversation was off the hook yesterday after the show on YouTube. The comments were great. I love talking ball with people that are excited about baseball. I mean, when we actually get to talk baseball and kind of put some of the BS surrounding baseball aside and just focus on actual players on the field, those are the best conversations. Some really good observations from y'all yesterday in the comment section. So let's make sure we keep those coming. I think they make the show smarter because you guys help me know what you want to hear about. So Oneil Cruz, I just want to start with probably the side of his game that we haven't talked enough about. The defense. There is just an air of comfort there now with Oneil Cruz in the outfield. He looks like he's just cruising into place on balls that, I mean, you've watched baseball a long time. You know some of those balls are not as easy to get to as he's making it look. In fact, sometimes when he's jogging back towards the wall, my first inclination is, well, that's gone, because he's not racing towards the wall. He's just cruising back to the wall and like sticks his arm up in the air and makes a catch. He's really, really evolved in the outfield. I don't think we've seen the cap on that yet. We haven't really gotten to see him uncork more than one real good throw home. And I don't think he has a great handle on when and when not to try it yet. But I love the evolution. I think it was right for everyone to be concerned when they first made the move. I mean, the talent's clear. He's an athlete. He should be able to do it. But still, it's a difficult thing to learn how to track balls in the outfield if you've played your entire life as an infielder, and he has. So it's kudos to him, honestly. And this too, there's been a little bit of a switch in Oneil Cruz since Don Kelly has taken over. I don't honestly don't want to pee on Derek Shelton's grave. That's not what I'm trying to do when I talk about Don Kelly. And I don't want to make it out like I think this is Tommy Lasorda or something. All right. I don't know what Don Kelly's going to be yet. I don't know how much credit to give him. I don't know how much to take away for certain things. I don't know what decisions or things that Gene Lamont's whispering in his ear versus things he's thought of for a long time or believed. But I do know that what I see in Oneil Cruz is a guy who seems to have finally learned, like, when he dribbles a ball in the infield, he needs to get his ass in gear and head towards first base. I've seen a noticeable change in him with that aspect of playing the game of baseball. And it's something I think we have talked about for a long time with Oneil Cruz. Boy, if you could just get him to always be on attention to detail level 10, or you could get him to always be in focus on the play at hand, number 10. Everything dialed in. There is possibly no more talented baseball player in the league aside from, like, Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge. I mean, you're talking those types of Mike Trout. You're starting to talk those types of players. Ellie De La Cruz is another comp that I think we'll live with for a long time because they're in the same division. But I think Oneil Cruz has come at least up to Ellie's standards at this point. I think we oohed and awed a lot about what Ellie did last year, but where Oneil Cruz is right now, an 827 OPS, and he's got the 22 stolen bases and 12 home runs. I think my big prediction in the NL Central preview show was that he would go 30-30, and man, that's a good bet. In fact, I mean, if you're going to dial up FanDuel, see if you can make that bet. That's probably a good one. I'm impressed. I really am. Big turnaround from Oneil Cruz. He did something else in last night's game that I think we might see a little bit more of from Oneil Cruz. He stole third base last night. Had 2 stolen bases last night, but stole third base. And I was shocked how easy it was for him. If a pitcher isn't going to at least nod over his shoulder at Cruz and he picks up on it, man, he's just going to go. I mean, today he took off and the third baseman didn't even bother covering third. In fact, the throw almost hit Oneil Cruz as he walked into third base. There was no need to slide. The game is slowing down for Oneil Cruz. The last bastion, the last thing that really has to come back, I think, is his approach against left-handed pitching. I do think when he faces left-handed pitching, he does need to kind of remember that contact approach that he had last year. I think that would kind of help round him out as a player. That said, it did seem to sap him of his aggressiveness last year, and I would hate to see that happen. So if he's just going to struggle against lefties and occasionally hit a missile off of them, and you got to deal with that to get everything he does against righties, well, I'll talk myself into being okay with it. You know what I mean? I think I'll find a way to survive if that's all he is. Because I'd hate to see him try to fix a relatively small issue in relation to everything else he does and hurt what we're seeing grow on the other side. I'm just seeing a lot more of the good intangibles we wanted to see from him. He's interacting with the crowd. If you've gone to games, I got to tell you, this is a different guy than the one that we've watched. I wouldn't say that he's a moody guy or anything, but he had a tendency to kind of almost wear a scowl a little bit when things weren't going well for him. Now, and he always has the smile that he flashes, but now he's much more interacting with the fans, giving them bats, promising to get hits for them, talking to them in between innings, playing catch with people. It's so good to see. It really is. And I know you'll probably laugh at it, and this is all going to come down to money with Oneil Cruz, but I'd love to see them try to extend Oneil Cruz. I do think there is a dollar figure there that they can agree on. I think that there is a path to it. There is still time, believe it or not. I think this is the year. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know the limits of what Ben Cherington is allowed to explore, but this is a guy that I think is almost as crucial to lock up as Brian Reynolds was a few years ago, because this is a guy that if they don't do something about it, they're going to have to probably move him in 2028, and I think that's before they're going to want this window to close. So I'd like to see them step up and try to do something this offseason. I think he's shown that the patience was appropriate, and the progression, I believe, has been steady since his injury recovery. And I think we're getting close to seeing about as maxed out as we're going to get here on Oneil Cruz until he really reaches full beast mode, which I think is probably sometime next year or the year after. This is probably his last year of people questioning if he's going to be great and start talking about how great he's going to be. And I'm not saying that's always going to be here, but I'm saying in totality, I think we're seeing the breakout right now. And if he didn't have that catastrophic injury a couple seasons ago, I really think we probably would have seen it last year. He's been on track and he's been doing the right things. So anyway, good to see. I don't think we talk about it enough because it gets buried. You almost don't want to talk about any positives for a team that is struggling as badly as the Pirates have been, but you'd have to every once in a while because there are positives. When we come back, let's take just a quick trip around the diamond. I just kind of want to ask you guys a question to ponder overnight before we get to the next show. I need to understand where we are on some things, so I want to talk them through with you. All right, so we're back. Thank you, Locked On Pirates. I want to walk around the diamond and I want to talk about where these improvements need to go, right? I think there's some realities we need to face because we all say we need this big bat. We need this big bat. We need two big bats. We need so and so to do this and that. Cool. Let's talk about it. Because when I talk about the team improving, something that I was worried about going into this season was the very limited places that they were really looking to improve. First base and left field. And I thought they needed a shortstop. Well, going into next offseason, we're going to for sure need a shortstop because we're not going to have IKF anymore. So that's kind of where we start. Where does the Pirate organization need to really target first? We know they need bats. Somebody's got to lose a job for that to happen, right? So shortstop, we're going to lose the job. IKF's going to go. Now, I ask you what you do. You look at the free agent board. I don't see a whole lot that's very promising. In fact, the way he's hitting right now, IKF might be one of the better options on the board. They might actually do better trying to go out and see if they can talk him into staying for a couple more years and turn him into the utility man, right? That's one option, but that's not improving this team, right? That's just maybe keeping it as good as it is, if that's the right way to put it. But IKF is an option. If they don't go that route internally, what do they have? We're starting to see them try Liover Peguero in the outfield. I think they've finally decided they don't think he's a shortstop. Chung-Shae Sheng, great shortstop, can't hit yet. Hasn't shown he can hit yet anyway. Nick Gonzalez can play short. I don't know how well. I don't know if he's somebody that you would settle on as a starter, but I guess he could. Jared Trillo can certainly play the position. I know. He can't hit. And Brian Hayes is not an option. Years and years ago, you might have been able to do that, but Not anymore. Not with all the back issues. His range is depleted. He's not getting down on balls the way he used to. That's not going to happen. So shortstop is a position that you could upgrade. You could target that in trade. You could target that in free agency. Again, I don't think there's a lot of good options, but there's one. Second base. You got a ton of options, right? So I ask you, do the Pirates possibly target something more permanent and established, major league ready at second base? Or do they take their chances with all of their different options? I ask you because you probably went into this season thinking, hey, let's take our chances with all those options. Otherwise, there would have been no reason to be so irritated that they signed Adam Frazier. So what do you do there? It's not going to look like an upgrade if you just decide to go with all of your internal options again, but that might be the smartest thing. I ask you, what would you do? First base, Spencer Horwitz, very early on to decide on him. Andy Rodriguez is a backup option there. Potentially could be a starter if Horwitz craps out. That's probably enough there, right? You wouldn't really feel the need to upgrade first base yet. I'm guessing. I'm answering for you and asking a question at the same time. You tell me. Third base, Ke'Bryan Hayes, to me, is a player they could upgrade. They have to move him to do so. And I don't know how you upgrade it. I guess you could bring somebody in like Eugenio Suarez, or you can find some third baseman out there. You could go with Nick York. You could go with Nick Gonzalez. You could help open up second base that way. Even Leo Peguero can play third base a little bit. Again, if you don't trust him at short, maybe you don't trust him at third. I don't know. Jack Brannigan's coming. There's some options there. But if you want to be better and you trade off Ke'Bryan Hayes, don't you kind of have to get a sure thing there? And I mean, that would block some things up, but so what? You want to get better, right? We need a bopper. I don't even know who's out there, but like, would you try to go free agent, trade? If you trade, is third base a place you want to fill? Do you try to upgrade regardless with Ke'Bryan Hayes, or do you just go, hey, we've got Ke'Bryan signed, he's going to be our starter? I'm asking you, what would you do there? The outfield, Brian Reynolds, yep, ain't going nowhere. Oneil Cruz, yep, ain't going nowhere. Left field, is Canario good enough for you to say you don't need anything? You want to give Jack another shot? Maybe. Boy, he has a lot of power. Or is that a place where you actively target? You got to get a starting left fielder, right? Like a big time starting left fielder. That's got to be the home run hitter. Because I just went around the whole diamond. I'm not even going to talk catcher. You got Endy and Henry. You're not bringing somebody, and Bart, you're not bringing somebody else into that mix. If anything, you might shed one of them. So left field? Are you telling me that we can just get a left fielder and a shortstop and call it a day with a team that can't hit? That can't be right. So I guess my question is, who's the painful move on candidate here? Who's the one that we're going, yeah, you're good enough, but you're probably not as good as we need at this position? Where are we doing that? Right now, the prime candidates to me look like the middle infield, no matter how many options they have. And third base, because I just think it's time to move on there. Left field, I think for the most part, you're looking for growth everywhere else. I think that's where we are. It's a weird place to be, man. They're in this kind of purgatory where you're waiting for development. Your development not as close as you need it to be. And you've got certain things that you kind of haven't really given a fair shake to yet. Like Nick Gonzalez hasn't truly had a good long stretch yet. I think we saw some good things there. So I hate to go like, well, second base isn't answered. Let's go get Ha-Sung Kim, who hasn't played anyway, it would probably be a terrible idea. Okay. And I think he would have to opt out to be available anyway. But like, let's say something like that pops up. I mean, do you go like, yeah, you know what? Screw it. Let's go get a major league starter for them. I got to tell you, like a team like the Dodgers, and let's not pretend about the money. Okay. Let's not turn this into that. But a team like the Dodgers, they would say, Gavin Lux, pretty good. Got team control of him for a long time, but you know what? Not good enough. Let's go and get something else. Let's be okay moving him. So I ask you, the listener, who are you okay with moving on from? From that walk around the diamond? Who's your candidate to be replaced that might actually shock someone? Or do you think they should just let them keep growing and bring somebody in better to develop what they do have? I don't know. I'm asking you. You're one of the ones that's impatient about this whole thing, right? Just like me. You think this is taking too long. So what direction do you go with some of those positions? Let me know in the comments, for real. Let's have a good conversation about it. That's all I got for today. Make sure you check out Sully on the Locked On MLB podcast. It's a lot of fun talking to him on some of these squad shows that I get to do and whatnot. And I just think you would have a kick listening to him. He talks about the whole league. The guy's an encyclopedia of the league. It's a lot of fun listening to him, and he'll get himself off on tangents, and it's a lot of fun. Give it a shot. Check it out. And this show too. Thank you so much for being here and sticking with me all the way to the end. I'll be back on Friday morning with a brand new episode, hopefully talking about a Pittsburgh victory in the series against Houston. Let's go, Bucks.